All right. Peace and wellness, family. I hope that y'all are well and happy and whole and thriving and all that good stuff. Happy May. Happy first of the month, y'all. We are officially in the month of May, which I like to call the month of Asé, the month of power. And I will get into all of that in this video. My intention for this video is for us to discuss what power is, what is the Ashe, and how can we tap into our own divine power and elevate our divine power to transform the collective consciousness, right? So I want to give you all some practices that you can implement to be able to do all of that energy, to be able to do all of that work and tap into this energy. And when I say this energy, I'm talking about Pluto retrograde. We have Pluto going retrograde on May 4th, and we are already in the shadow period of that, but we will deeply, deeply begin to feel it and see the transformations starting on May 4th and lasting through October 13th. So I'm going to talk about Pluto retrograde and how it offers us the opportunity to do this Ashe work in the month of May and beyond, okay? But before I get into that, I want to say hey to the wellness community. Hey to my tribe, butterflies in the sky. I love y'all dearly. Hey, Africa. Oh my God. I was just, one of the reasons I started a couple minutes late is because time got away from me. I was editing a video and in connection to Africa. And I'm going to talk about it in a second because it relates to our topic today with the month of May and honoring this Pluto retrograde energy. Grayson, I was just thinking about you, Grayson. Much love, much love. Hey, Max, shout out to the tribe. I love y'all so much. It's good seeing everybody. Come on, Trinidad, Trini, doubles, okay? I really miss some doubles too, okay, with some China. All right, much love, much love. Hey, Bree. Okay, y'all. Now, I have to acknowledge what I was just doing. As I said, I was just showing some love and honoring Africa in a video. Well, I want to say considering Africa while I was making the video, right? Because I put up a video on my socials earlier talking about what I'm going to mention in this video, which is honoring the month of May as the month of Ashe, simply because May is our 5th month of the year according to the Gregorian calendar, and the number 5 represents power, right? So for me, I always like to when I'm like, setting my intentions for the month, which we should always do on the first of the month, set your intentions and really ask yourself, what is the energy that you desire to attract? What energy do you want to be in this month, right? What are you working on? How are you setting your goals? What is in alignment with you for this month? Like, you have the power to manifest that. So I always like to set my intentions. And one of the ways I do that is based on the numerology of the month, right? So May is our 5th month. And the number 5, one of the meanings of the number 5 is power, right? According to supreme mathematics, which is one of the forms of numerology that I honor. I feel like I'm talking fast. I promise I haven't had no coffee, y'all. I'm just excited, right? I have that first of the month energy. I haven't had a drop of coffee. No well, I had a little caffeine because I had some matcha. Maybe that's it. Maybe it's the matcha. But yes, according to supreme mathematics, the number 5 represents the number of power, right? So I really like to tap into that energy. Well, I put up a short today on my socials explaining that, and somebody commented and they said, well, wouldn't May be the 2nd month of the year because spring is the real new year? And I made a little short video of in response to that, and I want to share this information here because I know it's going to be brought up here, simply because anytime I'm talking about the calendar, the months, the years, or anything like that, there's always somebody who's going to say, no, spring is the real new year, so May is not the 5th month, it's the 2nd month, or no, this is not the 2nd quarter of the year because spring is the real new year. Family, please listen to me closely when I tell you this. And we're going to talk about this a lot during this video. There's this concept called collective consciousness. Collective consciousness is the consideration of the collective, of the all, of community, even outside of self. Collective consciousness is the collective, the communal beliefs, knowledge, wisdom, practices, experiences. Collective consciousness. As individuals, we have a habit of moving in the ego sometimes, where we only consider our own experience and our own beliefs and our own practices. And that's something that we have to be super mindful to not do. Y'all know, I believe in having a beautiful relationship with the ego. I believe in minding the ego. I believe in making sure that you are controlling your ego so that you are not only thinking out of ego, you're not only thinking out of a space of me, my, I, shout out to Beyonce, me, myself, and I. We have to be mindful to always consider collective consciousness. So when you say things like spring is the real new year, you are denoting or insinuating that every other way of honoring the new year is fake. And that is simply not true. Spring is a new year. It is the astrological new year, according to Western astrology in the Northern Hemisphere. Western astrology is honored a lot here in America. I myself follow Western, also known as tropical astrology, but there's also Sidereal astrology, which is Eastern astrology, which is heavily honored in the Eastern Hemisphere. The difference is, one of the differences is that Eastern astrology does not take into account the equinoxes in the solstices. Western astrology does. It actually revolves around the equinoxes and the solstices. Simply because in the East and in the Southern Hemisphere, they do not experience spring and the equinox is the same that we do. Yes, they have the experience of the equator, of the sun crossing the equator, They have the experience, right, of equinox, but it does not impact them the same way that it impacts us here in America. In America, many of us honor tropical astrology. So you will hear people honoring spring equinox, and you have the right to do that for your experience and your wellness. But it does not make spring equinox the real new year, because when you consider many countries in Africa, they have a wet and a dry season. They don't experience the bloom in the earth in spring like we do here in America. They're not experiencing everything waking up like we do in America. When you travel to India and you travel to different countries in Asia, right, East Asia and West Asia, many of them are not experiencing spring the same way that we do. In fact, when we are experiencing spring equinox in the Southern Hemisphere, they're experiencing autumn equinox. Does that mean that they are not worthy of a new year? Does that mean that they are on a different type of time than we are, so they can't celebrate and honor what we honor? We have to be mindful when we say things like spring is the real new year, because once again, you are insinuating that everything else is fake. Spring is the real new year for you when you live in the Western Hemisphere and you experience the tropical bloom of spring equinox. Spring is the real new year for you when you honor tropical astrology, and you have the right to do that. But we have to always keep in mind it's important to honor the collective consciousness by showing respect to collective beliefs and experiences. You have to honor and respect people who don't experience spring the same way that you do. So always keep that in mind when we say things like spring is the real new year and this and that. No, it's not the real new year. It is a new year. It is the astrological new year according to the Western astrology that's based on the Western experience, right? So just be mindful of that type of rhetoric, because again, it's a reflection of ego as opposed to the collective consciousness and awareness of the collective consciousness, right? I know for me, and I talk about this many times, I like to honor different types of New Year. I like to honor the Gregorian calendar New Year as a communal New Year, as an ancestral New Year, because my ancestors that I grew up with, that I knew, my grandfather, my aunts, they used to cook their collard greens, cornbread, black-eyed peas, fried fish, the nights of December 31st, and we used to take our first bite once the clock struck 12 on January 1st for prosperity and abundance. That's an ancestral New Year for me, because because that's when my ancestors who I grew up with that were living honored the new year. It's also communal because that's when the community celebrates here in America. I respect that, right? I also honor my birthday as my personal new year. That's when I really set my goals and my intentions to manifest a better version of myself. I tap into myself and ask myself, what do you want to work on this year? What are your goals this year for you, right? My birthday is my personal new year. I also honor the lunar new year as a woman. I'm deeply connected to the moon, to the divine feminine energy of the moon, that womb energy. The moon, the full moon is carried, is held, is attributed to Yemoja, who is the divine mother. The dark moon, also known as the new moon, is attributed to Oya, right? Oya is all about transformation and change, right? These are two Orishas, divine feminine Orishas. So as a woman, as a divine feminine energy, I'm deeply connected to the moon. So I love to honor the moon cycles, the lunar new year. I also show respect and honor spring equinox as someone who pays attention to and values tropical astrology in spring season. I honor the spring equinox as a new year, right? So I like to show respect and honor to different types of new years with different intentions for all of them. You know, you have the right to do that. No one is more valuable or superior or real than the other. Again, collective consciousness, we must always be mindful of the various experiences of the collective and show respect for that. You know, we have to be mindful of when our own dogmatism is showing, right? And our own superiority and desire for superiority is showing. That saying that something is the real and other things are the fake or this and that. It's a reflection of dogmatism and superiority and ego that we need to mind and control, right? So I just wanted to put that out there as we move forward in discussing our May energy. As I said, you know, May is a month of Asé. It is the month of power. We have the opportunity to really tap into our divine power. Now, I want to discuss the term Asé. Right. Many of y'all may have heard it for the first time during Sinners, where Annie, right, she was she was blessing the mojo bag, and at the end of her prayer, she said, Ashe. Many of you may have heard it way before then. Of course, if you are a part of spiritual communities and you are spiritual yourself, you've heard the term Ashe. Ashe is the Yoruba word that means life force or power, and you will often hear it at the end of a prayer, and the intention of it is to elevate the intentions, to elevate the power, the life force of the prayer, to align the prayer with life force. So oftentimes a lot of spiritual people will pray and they will end it with Ashe, right? And again, it's a Yoruba word. It comes from the Yoruba people in Nigeria. Much love and respect for them. And like I always say, y'all, give us some grace. We are American. I know our pronunciation can be a little okay, and a lot of my Yoruba people be like, it's Asé. Some people say Asé, some people say Ashe, some people say Asé, some people say Ache, you know, especially like in the Latino community, people say Ache, you know, so people pronounce it differently based on your accent, based on your native language, your native tongue, right? But again, the word means life force or power. Now, again, the month of May is the 5th month of the year, and the 5 in supreme mathematics represents power. So for me, the month of May is when I really like to set my intentions to focus on elevating my Ashe. So I wanted to share with you all some practices, some how do I do that, right? Give you the how to, as well as some journal prompts and all of that. Now, I have to tell y'all that May offers us the perfect opportunity to really tap into our power and analyze our relationship with power, simply because we have Pluto, which is our planet of transformation and power, going retrograde in Aquarius. Aquarius is a fixed air sign that is ruled by Uranus and Saturn. Uranus is our planet of innovation, and Saturn is our planet of boundaries and restrictions. I was about to say of districts. It's our planet of boundaries and restrictions. When we're talking about Aquarius energy, we're talking about the energy of being super creative, right? We're talking about the energy of being super innovative, of breaking out of boxes, being able to just kind of go with the flow and do their own thing. Aquarius are super independent. I'm an Aquarius sun. according to a tropical astrology. According to Western astrology, I am an Aquarius sun. According to Vedic, I am a Capricorn. Okay, so okay. But yes, it is interesting because in Western astrology, I am a Capricorn moon. I urge all of you all to, you can research this, research Vedic astrology charts, like the dates, right? Because their dates are a bit different. So your sign in Vedic or Eastern astrology is a bit different, which I just have to always let people know. Western astrology, tropical astrology, is the most popular in America, in North America specifically, because it's based on equinoxes and solstice as we experience them in North America. But it's important to keep in mind that Eastern astrology is the most updated version of astrology because they update their mapping of the planetary alignment based on the tilt of the Earth on its axis in the rotation, right? So in actuality, Eastern astrology, I don't want to say is more accurate, right? Because it's not necessarily more accurate because Western astrology is based on that time period and what was occurring at that time period. So it is accurate as well. Both are accurate, but Eastern astrology is more current, right? So your sign may be a little different according to Eastern astrology than it is in Western astrology. So it's just like also known as Vedic or Sidereal. So just research a Vedic or Sidereal astrology chart and then look for your birthday and see what your sign is and see how you relate to it. You know, now for me, I don't necessarily relate to it because it's just, I don't feel like a Capricorn sun. I'm an Aquarius through and through, right? And you'll be able to tell that based on this Pluto and Aquarius energy. Like I said, Aquarius are very innovative, very creative, very out of the box, right? Very independent. And sometimes can also be a bit, how can I put this? I don't want to say, I'm just going to be for real. Hard-headed. Aquarius can be super hard-headed, super stuck in their ways. That's that fixed energy, right? Super like, I know what I'm doing, don't tell me nothing, don't want to hear anybody else's opinions. When we have Pluto, our planet of transformation and change in Aquarius, you will often see crazy, wild changes in power because Pluto is a planet of power. You will often see a lot of changes and shifts in power in government that will shock people, that will kind of surprise people because of that innovative, wild energy. There's usually a big shift in societal norms. There's usually big shifts in control, right? Again, shifts in power. But when you have Pluto retrograde, it forces us to go within. See, when Pluto is direct, Pluto is a generational planet. So it's usually about collective larger bodies, about generational power, the collective, the all, collective consciousness, right? But when we have it retrograde, it says, wait a minute. Let's focus on the individual. Let's be introspective. Let's go within. Let's do the work, right? Let's do the work. So Pluto being retrograde in Aquarius, it offers us the opportunity to be introspective and explore our personal relationships with power. What is your relationship with power, with collective power, but also your own individual power? How do you tap into power? How do you tap into your ashe, your life force, your power? What do you do with power when you are in your power, walking in your divine power? And when I say, I'm saying divine power, because this is not just about physical power and leadership in jobs and in family. This is about personal as well, right? So how do you walk in your divine power personally? When you tap into it, how do you use it to transform the energy of the collective, to transform collective consciousness? That is what Pluto retrograde in Aquarius is calling us to do, okay? Now, I'll have to note this. During this time period of Pluto being retrograde in Aquarius, right, May 4th to October 13th, there's a couple of things you want to be mindful of, okay? Number one, you have to be mindful of not seeking power. And when I say seeking power, you have to be mindful of your need to control, your need to kind of handle everything, your need to be the fixer, to be the healer. You have to be mindful of that. You also need to mind your assessment of reciprocity. And when I say assessment of reciprocity, I'm simply saying, don't look for other people to do for you what you do for them. You have to be mindful to not beg the universe to show you where are the fruits of your labor, right? And I say beg the universe because oftentimes people have a habit of saying, I do so much for everybody else, but who does for me and who helps me, right? Don't try to control how reciprocity shows up for you. You have to trust that the energy you put out is and will continue to return to you abundantly, right? So that is really a reflection of control, a reflection of the need for power. Another thing you need to be mindful of, okay, because again, when I'm speaking about these challenges, we have to be mindful of the lower sides, the lower aspects of Aquarius energy, which is this hard-headedness, this stubbornness, and also this hyper independence that Aquarius can have, right? Something else you need to be mindful of with Pluto retrograde in Aquarius is being so individual, so independent that you forget to consider the collective all and allowing the universe to have the final say. Be mindful about what you are studying and what your intentions are when you are studying it. Be mindful of what you are practicing and what your intentions are when you are practicing it. Let me make this very plain. I often find that many people turn to spirituality, many people turn to root work and hoodoo and all these different practices with the intention of trying to control. They want to control karma, they want to control destiny and fate, they want to control other people, they want to control. A lot of people will have that urge to do the spell, to do the root, to fix it, to make things happen, to control. You have to be mindful about that, right? Be mindful that you're not moving out of a place of ego. Be mindful that you are always considering the collective consciousness. You are always considering the all, right? Collective knowledge, wisdom, practice, belief, right? Collective wellness, that's all included in collective consciousness. Now, what are some highs? What are some beautiful things that we have to look forward to? Something that we have to look forward to is getting a deeper understanding of who we are, a deeper understanding of our own power, of our energy. Something else that we have to look forward to is divine guidance and an increase of intuition, an increase of confidence and courage, right? A lot of people will feel more comfortable standing strong and firm in their power. A lot more people will have the opportunities to lead and show up in their power in their sacred spaces, right? So really pay attention to that. Pay attention to opportunities that you have to kind of step up and be the face of something or step up and speak. Pay attention to opportunities that you have to lead. You have the opportunity to make the decision and have the say. Take those opportunities. Do not allow fear and limiting beliefs to self-sabotage you, okay? So step up and take those opportunities. A lot of people will have the opportunity to use their voice, and that is one way to step into your power. You will have that opportunity as well. So those are some personal things you can look forward to. Now, collective things that you can look forward to is a shift in control and power, right? When Pluto is retrograde in Aquarius, the power is often removed from the higher powers of the collective, from the government. Systemic power is often decreased and the power returns to the individuals, to the people. So during this time, during Pluto in Aquarius, you'll see a lot of freedom movements. You'll see a lot of transitions of power. You'll see also a lot of internal battles of power within the government, beefing between government officials, between people in higher positions of power, and their own internal conflicts will reduce both of their powers and again return the power back to the constituents, back to the people. And you'll see that in various different countries. I'm not just talking about America. You're going to see a lot of the power return to the people and the voices of the people be heard, right? So this is a time where you'll see the results of like collective revolutions, of collective protests and things like that. You'll really start between now and October 13th. You'll really start to see the results of the work, the results of the revolution, the results of the voices. You will also start to see more leaders of revolution kind of step up and step forward, right? Because that is that Pluto retrograde in Aquarius energy. Again, the power decreasing from the collective, right? The power decreasing from the systems, the overall powers, and increasing, returning back to the individuals, returning back to the community, returning back to the people, right? The constituents. So that is something that we have to look forward to during this Pluto retrograde in Aquarius season, okay? And the last thing I want to touch on is you have to look forward to and take full advantage of the opportunity to elevate your ashe, to elevate your power. What does it mean to elevate your power? What does it mean to elevate your ashe? To elevate your ashe, to elevate your power, to elevate your life force simply means to tap into your divine power and really fully embody it and utilize that divine power to transform collective consciousness, right? Now, when we consider our ashe, another term for it is the chi, right? The qi in Chinese culture, as well as in many African spiritual practices and African traditional religions, the term qi is often used to mean life force, okay? So it's essentially the same thing, just a different name, you know? How can you tap into that ashe or that qi energy? How can you tap into your life force? How can you tap into your power and fully live in that and fully embody that unapologetically? With confidence, with courage, without fear, you know? And when I say without fear, I don't mean that fear won't exist. I mean, you have the confidence and the courage to conquer it, to do it anyway, right? So how can you tap into this ashe? I want to share some practices with you all. In Wellness Community, y'all already have these practices. I shared these notes with y'all very early in the morning. I think at like 5 a.m. I dropped these notes in the Patreon for y'all, but I want to share these with the collective and explain a couple of things with the practices, right? One of the ways that you can tap into your ashe, and this is going to be very important, the first thing you may need to do is remove energy blockages. You want to remove blockages that's really stopping you from tapping into your highest divine power, from tapping into that energy of strength and courage and confidence and knowing who you are, from tapping into that divine guidance. Sometimes people have blockages, and those blockages may be caused by different things, and they may look different for different people based on your life experience, based on your ancestral experience, your epigenetics, right? The blockages may look different, but you have the opportunity and the ability to cleanse these blockages and set your intentions for your ashe. Set your intentions to elevate, to connect to, tap into your ashe and elevate the energy, okay? So one of the practices I want to share with y'all is a tradition of head washing. Right? And I love the practice of head washing. It's a beautiful, beautiful practice. And it offers us a great opportunity, again, to cleanse and remove any energy blockages and set our intentions. Now, the thing with head washing is you have to prepare for it. Yes, your hair has to get wet. My people, my people, my people, I love us dearly. That hair got to get wet. I got braids. I get it. I get it. Thank y'all for the love offerings. Thank you for the cash apps. I'm going to shout all of y'all out at the end. I appreciate the love so much, and may it be abundantly returned unto you. I see them coming in. I'm going to shout y'all out at the end. I got braids, y'all. Let me tell you something. Your hair has to get wet for the head washing. Okay? It has to. It has to. Okay, there's ways that you can do it. You can put a stocking cap over your braids. Okay, you can put, like for me with these, I just get these wet. Okay, this is Synthetica. I just get these wet. Okay, and I blow dry them. It's fine. Okay, but you got to get the head wet. Okay. Now, the beauty of head washing and why it's so helpful is because it's a combination of herbs, which I'll share with y'all, but it cleanses that crown chakra as well as that third eye chakra. It cleanses that space, which really opens us up to be able to connect, remove any energy blockages from our crown and our third eye, and it helps us to connect with or reconnect with our highest divine self, as well as our intuition, so we can get that divine guidance, right? So that is the beauty of the head washing. And when you are washing your crown and your third eye, you have the opportunity to set your intentions for that space, for that energy, right? Now, the thing with the head washing is you want to bring the herbs together, and I'm going to share the herbs with you now. My face is like tickling. My face is tickling. Look, this is how spiritual people be. The spirit is talking to me. My face is itching. I got a little tickle. I feel a feather. The ancestors is here. Okay, that's it. That's little snot running. The ancestors is talking. I got a booger. I think the ancestors is here. That's what's happening. Uh-oh. I'm itching. Spirit communicating. Okay. No. Let me stop. Y'all know that's how some folks be, though. Y'all know that's how some folks be. Folks will take anything as a sign from spirit. My neck feel wet, spirit. Is steam coming from the food? Spirit. That is spirit. I heard a little car honk. Spirit. It's spirit. Okay. Let me stop. Okay. But come on, y'all. Now, for the head washer, let me give y'all these herbs and I'm going to tell y'all how to bring it together. Okay. Now, it's very simple, 5 ingredients, but also you can add whatever you feel led to and subtract whatever you feel led to. The first ingredient is coconut. I put coconut water, but you can use any type of coconut. You can use coconut milk. You can use grated coconut. Y'all so silly. Y'all are so silly. Come on now. Y'all. They be doing too much. Y'all know the spirit be talking. Okay, look. Come on with the... Y'all know how they my stomach growls. Spirit said they want to be fed. My stomach is growling. That's spirit. I got a little my mouth a little dry. Spirit is thirsty. That's you know that's how they be. Y'all so silly. Stop it. Let me finish and get through this. I ain't got time to be fooling up with y'all all day. Okay. Come on, y'all. Now with the coconut, again, you can use coconut water, coconut milk. You can use grated coconut, but it's important to have some type of coconut. And let me tell you why, right? Now, in Ifa or Isheshe practice out of Nigeria, it's important to acknowledge that Obatala is the keeper of the Ori, is the keeper of the crown, right? The first keeper of the Ori, the first keeper of the crown, right? Obatala is the father, okay? Now, Obatala is all about purity and purification, and he has the ability to cleanse the energy. One of Obatala's offerings is the coconut. So you need to have some type of coconut in there. You'll often see Obatala represented in white, right? And this is one of the reasons why after you do your head wash, you need to make sure that you dress in white for at least 24 hours after you do your head wash, okay? And I'll get to that when we get there, okay? But the coconut is very important. Now, I know some people, you want to do a good head wash. I know for me, I have like one of those big boiling pots. I like to fill that up. You might not have enough coconut water for that. It's okay. Put as much coconut as you can and then fill the rest up with some purified or distilled water. Yes, coconut oil is fine. You can put a little a teaspoon or a tablespoon of coconut oil in there. You just need to have some type of coconut in there as offering, okay? So you can add that to the pot of water, or thank God if you got enough coconut water to fill up the pot, that is perfectly fine. But you want to have some type of coconut offering in there. The next one is bay leaf. Bay leaf is an herb that's good for dispelling, okay? So we want to have some bay leaf in there. We also want to have some hyssop. Hyssop is also very good for dispelling and purifying. Again, one of the intentions for the head wash is to cleanse and remove any energy blockages you may have. So the hyssop is good for that. And as I always tell y'all, hyssop is a good old biblical herb, okay? For all my Christian people, The Bible talks about the hyssop. Okay? For my Jewish people, it's Old Testament. Hyssop is Old Testament. We don't want to hear no mess. We don't want to hear no mess. No judgment. Hyssop is biblical. No judgment. Judge Jesus, not us. Judge the Lord, not us. They was using the hyssop. The holy. The King James Version, the New World Translation versions, all of them mention the hyssop. Don't be mad at us. Be mad at the Bible. Don't be mad at us. The hyssop is for purification. Okay? White sage, you can use white sage. If you don't feel comfortable using white sage, I know a lot of people don't feel comfortable with that because white sage here in America is native to indigenous Native Americans. And a lot of people, for various reasons, as we know, the white sage industry has been way overused and, just essentially taken advantage of. So some people don't feel comfortable using that. The intention of the white sage is for purification and cleansing. Okay, so again, more energy cleansing. You can use any herb for energy cleansing that you desire. You can use clove, right? Which is good. If you know that people have been talking bad about you, if you feel like somebody has put a curse or a hex on you, somebody has said some things or spoken some bad over your life, the clove is very good for that. Horsetail is another good substitution. If you feel like people are crossing your boundaries, people are disrespecting you, you can substitute that sage for horsetail, okay? There's many different herbs that you can use. In fact, when this is over, I'll put some more herbs for dispelling. Skullcap is another good one. I'm thinking of some off the top of my head. Skullcap is another good one. Skullcap is very good for protection as well as dispelling, removing any negative energy. I'll put a list in the description of this video. But you can substitute the white sage or any of these herbs for any of those herbs for dispelling. And then the last one is anise. Anise is a good herb for setting the intention. It attracts the abundance energy. Again, the intention of the head wash is to cleanse the energy, remove any energy blockages, as well as set your intentions. Yes, you can use sage oil. Rosemary and eucalyptus would be good as well. Okay. Now, how do we want to do this? What you want to do is you want to bring all of your ingredients together to a nice steam, not a boil, to a nice steam, just to combine them. But the intention of the steam, I want to clarify this because I get this question sometimes, like, why can't we boil it? If I boil it, is it bad? It's not bad if you boil it, but the intention of the steam is to gently bring the ingredients together without overcooking the herbs and burning it, right? When you steam it, right, the heat releases the oils from the herbs. A lot of people don't notice, I realize, right? Like when you get an essential oil, they are essentially just extracting the oil out of the herb. If you have a leaf and you press on the leaf, right, you will feel a residue, a liquid on your fingers if you press the leaf hard enough. They are extracting the oils, the liquids out of the herb, right? So when you are steaming an herb, the intention is to add just enough heat to extract the properties out of the herb. And then you can strain it and just use the water. But for me, I don't necessarily strain it. I like to get all the good. So I keep all the herbs in there. And yes, I be having little bits and pieces in my hair. So I always have to work it through. That's why I detangle my hair and make sure I wash my hair first. And then I end my wash with the head wash. Okay. So I wash my hair first, get me a good detangle, make sure I can get that comb through really, really good. And then I do the head wash and I make sure I comb all of the herbs out. I use my hands and I rinse them out, but I keep the herbs in. However, if you don't have the patience to do all that, because it does take a while, you can absolutely strain them. But that's why you want to steam the herbs together, to extract the properties out of the herb, okay? Excuse me. Now, with that being stated, once you steam the herbs together, you have to let it cool. You have to let this head wash cool. It's very important when you are cleansing your ori that you are using cool waters. This does not need to be hot. This does not need to be warm. It's important to be cool, and so cool that if you want to, you can even, instead of steaming it, you can just let the herbs and the water sit overnight for 24 hours instead of steaming it, if you have the patience to do that. If you don't have the patience to do that, you can steam it, but you can then put it in the refrigerator to cool it down. These need to be cool waters, okay? So now that you have your herbal mixture of cool waters, you want to cleanse your hair, cleanse your scalp, do whatever you're going to do. Then you want to gently pour it over your scalp. Now, this is what I recommend, right? It's always important to keep in mind, and I'm going to explain this again for the 50th time, okay? Because I know some people, you might be new here. Many of us come from West African ancestry, West and Central African ancestry. And West and Central African ancestry, specifically West African ancestry in present day practice, the left hand is for dispelling. The left hand is for removal, right? The right hand is for receiving. It's the giving and receiving hand, right? To this day, if you go to Ghana, if you go to certain parts of Nigeria, when you go to pay somebody, you are supposed to pay them with your right hand. It is seen as disrespectful to give them something with your left hand. When they do cleaning and they do removal work from their home, they sweep and clean with the left hand. They also wipe with the left hand. They only use the left hand for dispelling and removal work, right? This is ancestral. Okay, the right hand is for receiving. Now, in a lot of Latino, Latin-based traditions like Santeria, it's opposite, right? So again, you just do what feels right according to your ancestry and your history, all right? But traditionally, in Gullah Geechee practice, in hoodoo root work and practice, the left hand is for dispelling work. When we say, oh, you do your left hand work, it means that somebody is doing some dispelling, some type of work, okay? With that being stated, when you are removing the energy, when you are removing any blockages, you want to pour the head wash with your right hand, and you want to be praying and working the head wash through over your crown and over your third eye with the left hand to remove as you are praying, and you are sweeping the energy away. So you are pouring the head wash with the right, and you are sweeping the energy away with the left as you pray. Okay? Then you want to cleanse your hand and then switch hands, and you will pour with the left, and with the right, you are bringing the energy and setting your intentions. So as you are removing the energy with the left, you are praying for all energy blockages to be removed. Remove anything and anyone that is not aligned with my wellness. Remove anything and anyone that is blocking my energy, that is stopping me from connecting to my highest divine power and manifesting as my highest divine self. These are prayers that you are saying as you are sweeping that energy away with your left, right? You switch, right? Now you are setting your intentions. You are working it through with the right, setting your intentions with I am mantras. I am manifesting as my highest divine self. I am divinely guided. I am divinely protected, right? With your right hand, okay? Now, once you finish working it through, your head wash is done. You want to raise up, and you need to wrap in a white towel, and you need to mark your crown and third eye with cascarilla. Cascarilla, also known as efun powder, is for protection because the job is done. Okay, you want to dress in white after that. Okay, so it's very, very important to do that. Okay, and again, you have to keep in mind that you are now purified, you are now cleansed. Your energy may be sensitive during this time. This is a good time to go do your journal work. You can also quickly move to your foot wash, which is another practice that I'm going to offer you now. Another good way to elevate, tap into your divine power and elevate that energy is by practicing a foot wash. The intention of the foot wash is to clear your path and open your roads, right? Because we have to be rooted in our divine power. Now that you have removed energy blockages, you have set your intentions, you need to clear your path and open your road so that you can be rooted in your power. So you want to wash your feet, okay? Now, the foot wash is a bit different than the head wash, okay? The practice is similar as far as the left hand and the right hand, but your ingredient is a bit different. Ingredients for the foot wash. Let's get into it. Oh, Lord, we already at 43 minutes. Every time I get on here, I'll be like, I'm going to talk to them for about 30 minutes max. I said, today should be a quick one, 20 minutes. That's what I be telling myself. And clearly, I need to stop telling me anything. I need to stop telling me anything because I don't be knowing. I don't. I just be chatting. I be chatting. I just burped, spirit. Spirit said, girl, that was spirit. I just burped. Spirit. Hallelujah. Okay, come on. Ingredients for the foot wash, y'all. Let's get into it. The first ingredient is black salt or sea salt. And the intention for the foot wash, again, is to clear your path and open your roads. Black salt or sea salt. Coffee grounds. And for the coffee grounds, I will advise that you get a coffee that's closely related or connected to your ancestors, right? I know for me, Panamanian grandmother, Rustelo. Okay, shout out to everybody who are Rustelo drinkers. That is what we drunk. And then for my mother, on her side, Gullah Geechee folk, Sanka. Okay, I think it's Sanko or Sanko. I always say Sanka, but Sanko coffee. One of those two are my options if I'm doing using coffee grounds for any type of workings, okay? You use what it is for you. So you said come on, Blue Mountain. What grandmama and them used to drink? What granddaddy and them used to drink? That's what you want to go to. That's going to be your coffee grounds that you use, okay? It could also be chicory, okay? Basil is the next ingredient. Tobacco, and you want to make sure that I should have put this in the notes. I'm going to edit them for the wellness community, for the Patreon. You want to make sure that you are getting raw tobacco. You have to go to a smoke shop and ask for raw tobacco, raw untreated tobacco. You don't want tobacco that has been treated, that has that chemically scent. You want wild tobacco or raw tobacco. You can get wild tobacco from any good herb shop. They should have wild tobacco. But if you don't have an herb shop close, go to a smoke shop and ask them for raw tobacco. Okay? But tobacco. And then the last ingredient is pure sugar cane, not Domino's white sugar that's in the grocery store. You want to get pure sugar. Domino's also has a pure sugar cane, but just make sure it says pure sugar cane. You can also go to any Caribbean supermarket and literally get pure sugar cane, the whole sugar cane, and they'll chop up for you. They'll give you a piece of it, but pure sugar cane, okay? If you don't have pure sugar cane, get guava. Use guava. If you don't have guava, use papaya. Okay, papaya is also an option. Now, you want to bring all of these ingredients together, very similar to how you brought them together. You can steam them, okay, in a pot or soak them overnight. But the difference with the foot wash is this does not have to be cold or cool. You can do this warm, okay? So that's one of the differences between the head wash and the foot wash. The head wash has to be cool waters. The foot wash does not. It can be done warm, okay? Now, with the foot wash, you want to literally, just similar to how we did with the head, same process, left and right, okay? You want to cleanse your feet with the foot wash. Now, I'm going to tell you, I personally, for me, I prefer to do this outside. I prefer to do this in grass for me. But you do it wherever you feel led to do it, okay? If you want to do it in your house and you feel comfortable and safer doing it in your house, there's nothing wrong with that. It's not like a taboo thing or anything like that. It's just for me. I always feel called to do it outside. The head washing, of course, for me, I prefer to do it in the house or at the water if I'm like at the beach, or I'll bring a little jar of my cool water mixture, my head wash mixture with me to the beach or to the river. But I prefer to do the head wash in the house if I'm not at the waters, right? But for the foot wash, I always prefer to go outside somewhere in nature. So I will walk to a body of grass. Even when I lived in Brooklyn, I used to be the crazy root working hoodoo lady who used to be at the little patch of grass in the front of my building washing my feet. Okay, that was me. But again, the same process as the head wash. Okay, so I'm not going to repeat all of that again, but you really want to, the only thing that will be different is your prayers, because again, you are praying to remove any blockages. My path is made clear and it is easy. I am divinely guided on my path and it is easy. I am rooted in my divine power and it is easy, right? So these are my path is made clear and it is easy. That is one of my favorite prayers when I'm doing my foot wash, to remove any energy blockages. My path is made clear and it is easy. That's what works for me. You create the prayer that works for you. And then to set my intentions, I am divinely guided. I am rooted in my divine power and it is easy. Here's another one. I am disciplined to follow my divine guidance and intuition and it is easy. I am disciplined to follow my divine guidance and intuition, and it is easy because it's one thing for your roads to be open. You can pray, my roads are open, I am divinely guided, and it is easy. But you also need to pray and manifest the discipline to follow the guidance. Incorporate that discipline in there, and it is easy, right? So you do your foot wash, you want to pat dry, you want to coat your feet in some coconut oil. You can mark the bottom of your feet with the cascarilla and then put some white socks on, okay? And then put them slippers on and go back in the house, okay? That's what I do. Go back in the house, all right? So that's what you want to do. God bless them. Y'all hear these sirens in the background, okay? God bless them wherever they're going, who they're going to. Bless them. Okay, but that's the foot wash. That's one of the practices to help you tap into that divine power, to cleanse your path, open up your roads, and give you the divine guidance and the discipline to follow the divine guidance. Okay. And again, this comes with the confidence, the courage, the discipline, okay? Tapping into that ashe. Now, the next practice I want to offer, we talked about head washing, we talked about foot washing. Let's talk about sunbathing. And this is like a quick, easy go-to. See, the head wash and the foot wash, you got to have herbs. You got to prepare for that. You got to have some time. The sunbathing, baby, this is my quick 1-2 go-to. When I feel blocked, when my energy feels scattered and I feel a bit off, which, let's be clear, we have a full moon in Scorpio that will be coming up, approaching, and I'll talk about that when that time gets close, when we get close to the shadow period. But that will bring some scattered energy, okay? Because Scorpio is that energy of passion, right? Now, with that being stated, whenever I feel scattered, sunbathing is my go-to practice. Our sun is our connection between our highest divine self and our highest divine source. Our sun is that fire energy. Fire is super cleansing. Anytime you want to cleanse and clear the energy of your crystals, you can use fire to cleanse them. Hold them over the fire to cleanse them, right? This is one of the reasons candle workings are so powerful, because candle workings helps you to easily manifest, because that fire energy naturally clears the path and opens the roads for the manifestations to come. Hint, hint, secret. That's one of the reasons why I'm big on candle workings to manifest. Because that fire on that candle is going to naturally clear that path and open that road and remove any blockages that could be stopping that manifestation. That's why I always say, put a candle on it. 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 Okay? But sunbathing, using the sun to cleanse your energy, using the sun to remove the blockages and to reset you. Okay, using the sun to help you tap into that ashe, to help you tap into your power, your life force, your highest divine energy, and the highest divine source is very, very helpful. To sunbathe, I simply go outside, stand in the sun, and I sun gaze. I will look into the sun. I will speak to the sun energy, call for it to cleanse me, to remove any energy blockages, remove anything and anyone that is not aligned with my wellness, discipline me enough to move beyond my bad habits and negative self-thoughts and self-talk, remove any negative thoughts and self-talk from my mind, cleanse me of any limiting beliefs, clear my path, cleanse my mind, unscatter my thoughts, give me clarity and clear energy. These are things that I'm praying for, right? And whatever I feel led to at the time, as I'm talking to the sun, I'm setting my intentions. And then I just sit and I chant. I will pick a mantra and I chant. And chanting is something that really, really helped me when I was in Bali. I learned to discipline myself with chanting. Shout out to the Balinese people. Let me tell you something. I've been hearing some Bali slander, and I will not tolerate it. People have been saying that, oh, Bali is boring. Bali is boring if you're going to party. But if you are going for spiritual wellness and to be taught something, go to Bali. If you are going for a spiritual reset and some spiritual clarity, go to Bali. Bali is where I really learned to discipline myself with fire breathing, with chanting, and with yoga, okay? And it's so interesting because I carry, shout out to Yaya Louisa Teach, which, Yaya, I'm going to email you back. I got your email, okay? And now I just thought about 30 million emails I need to respond to. But shout out to Yaya Louisa Teach. I love her dearly. I bought her book, Jambalaya, with me Because let me tell y'all something. This is a little secret of mine. When I travel to countries, I like to bring books from African American spiritual practitioners and elders because I like to teach them what we do too. A lot of people think that African Americans don't have, they think that we all Christian and that we don't practice spirituality and things like that. So I always like to travel with Sacred Woman by Queen Afua, which started a big conversation with some of the Sangomas that I was speaking to in South Africa. And I always like to travel with Jambalaya by Yeye Louise Tish, right? I always love to travel with those two books. They've literally been all over the world with me. They are in my suitcase, always. And in Jambalaya, one of the sisters who was teaching me how to chant, she wrote down all of the chants for me in Jambalaya. So my front page of Jambalaya is literally full of Hindu chants. And they really taught me how to focus, how to be, how to really, let me be clear about this. Because I don't want to say how to be repetitive. I was going to say how to be repetitive, and that's why I had to stop myself. I want to be clear when I speak about this. When you are chanting, chanting is powerful because you know how a lot of people, when they talk about meditation, they say, I have a hard time clearing my mind. I have a hard time silencing my mind. The power of chanting and the repetition is that it forces you to focus. You chant in a rhythm, and to chant in the rhythm, you have to be focused. Right? So it helps to clear all of the excess thoughts and all of the foolishness because you are focused at first on these words, right? You are focused on these words and the repetition and the rhythm of these words. And then once you have that repetition and that rhythm and it's natural to you, you focused on the energy, right? So literally, think about this comparison. The words is the physical. The chanting and the rhythm is the vibration. Once you have the physical, you connect to the vibration, the chanting and the rhythm, you get to the source of the vibration, which is the energy. And that is the power of chanting. That is the power of chanting. So you pick one chant, you focus on a rhythm, and you just repeat it over and over and over and over. And naturally, you will get to the source of the vibration, which is the energy, right? And that's what you want to connect to. That's the power of chanting, right? So sunbathing, you sit in the sun, you set your intention with the sun, you align with that sun energy, you go within and you begin your chanting. And you want to do this for at least a minimum of 5 minutes, okay? Now, the chant that I shared with the wellness community, and I'm going to share with y'all, is I am deeply connected to my divine power and grounded in elevated Asé, and it is easy. I am deeply connected to my divine power and grounded in elevated Asé, and it is easy. I am deeply connected to my divine power and grounded in elevated Asé, and it is easy. I am deeply connected to my divine power and grounded in elevated Asé, and it is easy. And it is easy, and it is easy, and it is easy, and it is easy, and it is easy. And you can just chant and chant and chant and go and go and go. And listen, this is the one that I share with the tribe, but you create your own. You may want something that's way more simple. You may want something that is more inclusive of whatever intentions that you have. But this is one of the ways to cleanse and purify your energy and set your intentions, utilizing the sun as the divine source to do so. Okay? Now, I want to go to the fourth practice. We talked about head washing, foot washing. We talked about sunbathing. I want to talk about the fourth practice, and then we're going to get to some journal prompts, and then we closing out, child, because now we at almost an hour. The fourth practice, this is going to be really quick. This is called a self-love sacred space. Some people call it a self-love altar. I'm not necessarily a fan of calling it a self-love altar simply because I feel like oftentimes people get self-love sacred spaces confused with ancestor altars, and there's a difference. Let me explain. The intention, let me drink some water first. How's doing? Me too. I really do. I love a lot of Hindu mantras. I love a lot of Hindu chanting. Like I said, that's what I focused on in Bali, and it really shifted me. It shifted my perspective and practice of chanting. It is now my go-to practice. I love it, love it, love it, love it, love it down. Study Hinduism if y'all desire, if you feel led. That's also where the source of Sidral and Vedic astrology is aligned with, and it comes from heavily. Okay, but anyway. Now, when it comes to a self-love altar or self-love sacred space, it's important to acknowledge that the intention of a self-love sacred space or altar is to have a space where you honor self. You are not necessarily venerating self as you would an ancestor, and that's the difference. On the self-love sacred space, there are photos of you. There should be no photos of anyone who is no longer living or who's an ancestor. It should be no photos of dead people on your self-love altar, okay? There's also no food offerings or drink offerings that are required like there would be on an ancestor altar. Okay, so those are two of the major differences. Another major difference is that when you are at your self-love altar, you are not necessarily there with the intention of communicating with ancestors. It's not to say that spirit cannot speak to you when you are at your self-love space, but your intention is not to communicate and conjure ancestor energy. You go to your ancestor altar for that, okay? So that's one of three of the main differences between the self-love altar and an ancestor altar. And again, this is one of the reasons why I prefer to call it a self-love sacred space. And let me be clear. The self-love sacred space does not have to be a table or drawer like an ancestor altar. The self-love sacred space could be a little spot in the room that's just for you, that you go to. That's your little area. It could be your a whole room that's for you. It could be a little space in a closet or anywhere, right? It could be a tree that you have in your backyard that you like. This is my tree. This is my sacred space. This is dedicated for me. This is where I spend my me time, where I do my meditation. That's the self-love sacred space. It is your space that's dedicated to your you time. And that's where you honor yourself. Now, in this space, you can have a photo of yourself. You can have a vision board of your highest divine self, right? You can have your favorite crystals, your favorite perfumes, some of your favorite things, just to make this space your own. But this is where you go to do your own work, to do your journaling, to do your meditation, to do your chanting, to have a break to clear your mind. That's the self-love sacred space. And the beauty of the self-love sacred space is this is where you can go to tap into your divine power, to sit with yourself and do your chanting, do your meditation, and tap into your highest divine self, tap into your Asé. Okay, so that's the self-love sacred space. That's the self-love altar. And again, I highly advise that you vision your highest divine self. You vision your divine power. You can make a vision board for it. You can write it out. You can script it or whatever. But I highly advise that you put that there as a reminder of when you are tapping into that energy, this is what you are tapping into. This is what you are connecting with, okay? So that's the fourth practice. Now, journal prompts, and then we're going to close out. Now, with these journal prompts, the intention of these journal prompts is to help you understand what your relationship with power is, how you tap into power, how do you utilize your power, how do you utilize your Asé for your wellness, as well as transforming the collective consciousness. Now, I want to clarify transforming the collective consciousness. What does that mean, right? Again, as I said in the beginning of the video, when we're talking about collective consciousness, we're talking about collective knowledge, wisdom, belief, experience, practice, right? What is the experience of the collective of the all? What is the knowledge of the collective of the all? What is the practice of the collective of the all? What is the wisdom that we live in? What are the beliefs, right? And again, you don't have to always agree, but the collective consciousness is the understanding. You don't have to agree, but do you understand what the collective knowledge is? And how are you utilizing your power to transform that? How are you adding to the knowledge? How are you adding to the belief? How are you contributing to the practice and the experience, right? So that's what I mean when I say transforming collective consciousness. How are you using your power to transform the collective experience, knowledge, belief, wisdom, power? Got a little hair. That's spirit speaking. Had a little hair in my mouth. Spirit speaking, said I'm growing. Said I'm growing. A little hair in my mouth. Spirit. Okay. Now, these journal prompts are cultivated with the intention of helping you unpack all of that. Okay. Now, the first journal prompt. How do you define power for you? How do you define power for you? And you will simply describe your ashe, describe your power, describe your life force. If I had to ask you to describe your life force, what would you say? Describe your power, what would you say? Okay? The second journal prompt. When do you feel powerful? When do you feel powerful? When do you decide to use your power or reserve your power? When do you feel powerful? And when do you decide to use your power or reserve your power? To say, you know what, I'm going to step back and let somebody else lead. I'm going to step back and allow somebody else to have the power in this experience, or to use their power in this experience. When do you choose to use your power and to reserve your power? Third journal prompt. What practice helps you tap into your power? How do you mind your power? I shared 5 now. This journal prompts, journaling is the 5th one. I shared 5 with y'all that I like, and I told y'all that one of my favorites is the sunbathing. That's the one that helps me tap into my power the quickest and really reset my energy and tap into that power, tap into my ashe the fastest is the sunbathing. What practice helps you? Okay, so what practice helps you tap into your power, and how do you mind your power? How do you really assess and cultivate your power? How do you mind your power? The fourth journal prompt. What is your power color, number, and sigil or symbol, right? What colors help you feel powerful? What colors help you connect with your power, tap into your power? Okay? Are you a red person? That's that Shango energy. Are you a red person? Are you a green person? That Ogun energy? Are you a blue person? That Yemoja energy? Like, what color really helps you feel powerful? Like, when you're feeling confident, you're feeling courageous, you're feeling powerful, you're feeling intuitive. What color do you like to adorn to represent that? Is it white? What's your color of power? What is your number of power? And what is your sigil or symbol of power? And I heavily advise that everybody create their own personal sigil or symbol, right? Your sigil or your symbol is your own personal mark that represents something. It means something for you. And nobody else would know what this represents unless you told them. So what is your sigil or symbol of power? Okay. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. In the day, too. Feeling raggedy, but still looking cute. Yeah, okay. 5th journal prompt, all right? How do you use your power to elevate your holistic wellness? How do you use your power to elevate the collective consciousness and wellness? How do you use your power to elevate your holistic wellness? How do you use your ashe, your power, that confidence, that courage, that divine guidance, that intuition to elevate your holistic wellness? And how do you use your power to elevate and transform, really, collective consciousness and wellness? Okay, so those are the 5 journal prompts to help you elevate your ashe, tap into your ashe, assess it, analyze it, and elevate your ashe, elevate your power. Okay, family. And again, Pluto Retrograde starts on May 4th. We are already in the pre-shadow period for that, and it lasts until October 13th. Okay, so although the month of May is our month of ashe, the 5th month, the 5 representing the number of power, although this is our month of power, this is our month of life force and energy. This energy carries you forever and always. It is an infinite energy. So there is really no time limit on the ashe. There is no time limit on the life force, on the power. This is just a good time. The planets are in alignment to really help expedite the process of this, right? Of this work that we're doing, okay? Much love, much wellness. Happy May, happy 1st of the month. And keep in mind, this is a good time to do your traditional 1st of the month rituals, like blowing your cinnamon in for abundance and blowing your sea salt out to remove any negative energy. Cleanse your home, set your home, Set your intentions for the month. What energy do you want to manifest? How do you want to manifest this month? How do you want to show up this month? Always remember, the energy that you put out is the energy that you will get back. So how you show up is what you will manifest. So what is the energy you want to show up in this month? Show up as this month, because that is what you will get abundantly unto you. Okay, family? I love y'all dearly. And I've really been feeling led to remind people, if you haven't already, read The 7 Spiritual Laws of Success by Deepak Chopra. I feel like everybody needs to read that. If you are new to a spiritual journey, if you are new to spiritual work as a whole, really read that so that you get a basic understanding of the universal laws of energy, right? The 7 Spiritual Laws by Deepak Chopra. And Wellness Community, yes, on May 3rd, we are starting our May book of the month this Saturday, which is Living in Wisdom by Debbie Brown, who is amazing. Shout out to Debbie Brown. Living in Wisdom is her newest book, her newest release, that's all about embracing grief, doing the work to tap into your holistic wellness and your highest divine self. So I'm very excited to start that with y'all on Saturday. So Wellness Community, I will see y'all on Saturday. And everybody else, I will see y'all soon. Much love, much peace, much abundance, and happy May, y'all. Elevate your ashe. Elevate your ashe. Much peace, y'all. Good night.